Hello YouTube, this is Alston with another Project 24/Income School update. Today in this video I want to provide an update as to my numbers for traffic as well as blog posts on my 4 sites. Also I want to spend a few minutes talking to you about the different ways that I try and find keywords or phrases to write about. So let's get started. I have 4 sites as I mentioned. The first site, it has 87 blog posts, and that site, the first post went up on September 7th. It has 87 blog posts and 21 YouTube videos. The second site has 31 blog posts, and that site began October 24th. The third site is actually my oldest site. Um, that has a 10 blog posts that was started way back in July, and it was actually started as a directory site. I have since gone back to add blog posts as a way to gain some traffic with Google. And my third site is my smallest site, and it's the most recent site. It only has 6 blog posts. All right, so let's talk about my traffic for the last 2 weeks. So beginning March 24th and ending today, April 5th. It's still pretty early in the day, as you can see. It's 9:53 a.m. So these numbers are bound to change. Um, but over that time frame, I've had 316 page views and 24. So that actually equals out to 24 page views per day. So that's actually pretty good. I'm happy with those numbers. It looks like the traffic is continuing to increase. So that's a little bit about what I have been doing with regards to my blog post. This month so far, I have not made any commission sales with Amazon. However, I have made a total of 6 cents with Google AdSense. Google AdSense is the smallest or the lowest paying ad network. So you don't you shouldn't expect to make that much money there considering the amount of traffic um, that I'm generating. So let's talk about the second part. I want to talk about the different ways that I do search analysis or keyword research. The names may change, but the objective stays the same. With search analysis or keyword research, the objective is to try and find words, sentences, or phrases that are low competition and that you can easily rank for. The more when people say rank, you want to rank in the top 10, obviously, top 10 of Google. The more the more search terms you rank for, the more credibility that you gain. More credibility, stronger domain, and you can rank up for other terms a little bit easier. So the first thing that I use is called Answer the Public. Now, if you're not familiar, basically with Answer the Public, you type in a word, sentence, or phrase, and it'll return back to you words, sentences, or phrases that people have searched on various search engines. For example, we're going to use that Xbox example there. With Xbox, you'll see results like what is an Xbox, what's the difference between an Xbox. The cool thing about Answer the Public is it has questions, so that can get you like long tail keyword research. It does versus, so comparison, what's the difference between Xbox and a PlayStation, and then it even does the keyword soup method that Jim and Ricky recommend. So Xbox A, Xbox B, and so on, um, and so forth. So let's take a quick look at Answer the Public. If you have seen this before, just bear with me. If you've not seen it before, this is a cool little trick that I use. I use it in the beginning to kind of to get the thought process going, and then I'll come back to it in the middle if I get stuck. So let's use that Xbox example. So you just type in a word, sentence, or phrase, Xbox, hit enter. Um, One of the only downsides with Answer the Public is if you do not pay for the Pro, it's limited to like 6 searches per day. And I've tried it across multiple devices. Somehow it knows. I've actually tried it also with different web browsers, and again, it knows. All right, so I just typed in Xbox, and it comes back with 172 different questions. So here's some of the questions that pop up. Can Xbox One play 4K? Can Xbox One play CDs? And so what I usually do is I'll just copy, let's say, our Xbox controller's Bluetooth. I'll copy that and just hit Command C, and then I will paste that in. Hit enter, and then these are the results. And so then, now that you've done that, basically you just kind of go through the first 10 or so results. If you see YouTube videos, usually that's not a great sign, because YouTube obviously wants to promote, I'm sorry, Google wants to promote YouTube because Google owns YouTube. And to be honest with you, I think people would rather watch a video than read about something. But really, anyway, so our Xbox 360 controller is Bluetooth. I would just scroll down here, and to be perfectly honest with you, I don't even read, um, I don't necessarily read all of the content. What I'll do is I'll go down here, I'll highlight everything, and then I'll right click and do the page views. Now, because I am in Safari and not Google Chrome, I don't have a word count extension, but if I were in Google Chrome, I would just hit the word count extension and that would let me know. Now, if this is too competitive, if the answer is on point, what you can do is you can scroll down, and this I alluded to earlier, you can actually scroll down to some of these questions down here. If some of these questions look good, and these are actually questions that are provided by Google, so there's no speculation, people are asking these questions. You can just go down here, click on it, on the question, and again you see a YouTube video, but then you can also see different different questions that have been asked. Now, if you look, it looks like the top result that is not a YouTube video is actually a forum. Now, according to Jim and Ricky in Income School, this would be ripe for the picking, but the YouTube videos, most likely, if you're looking up making a how to connect Xbox 360 controller PC, most likely you could probably rank for this one. How to connect Xbox 360 controller to PC. Um, you could probably rank for this question because this top result, how to make a homemade Xbox 360 controller wireless receiver for, this may not be a quality answer. What you'd probably want to do is actually go down in here. Is it possible to get an Xbox controller to work with a PC without? What you'd probably want to do is go down in here and look and see what this says. And if this is different than that YouTube video, you may want to write a blog post about it. Now, because it's a forum, you could probably get away with writing a response post, but just in case, how old is that forum? 2013. You probably could get away with writing just a 1500 word response post for this, and see that it ranks. Um, but yeah, so that's Answer the Public. If I scroll down here, another cool thing about Answer the Public, as I mentioned, there's questions at the top: who, what, when, where, why, how, which I alluded to in one of my other videos about how to write faster. If you scroll down here, this is another good place to find keywords, or to conduct your search analysis. So, um, Xbox, let's find a good one. Xbox forums, you could look that up to possibly find different questions that people are asking. Xbox forgot password. That would be good if you were writing a blog post about how to reset your password, how to reset your Xbox password, or what to do if you forgot your Xbox password in your login. Um, there is one, there's a section that has and. That's usually pretty good because it's a comparison. I don't see it. Maybe it's further down. It's a good comparison. That means people are ready to buy or very close to buying, and they don't want to make the wrong decision. So if we come down to comparisons right here, as I mentioned, so Xbox and Nintendo, Xbox or Nintendo, Xbox or PS4, that's going to be a huge um, keyword to attempt to rank for, because that's where all the major players are going to be. The major players are going to be up high with this buying decision. Xbox for Kids is going to be another difficult one if you want to rank for it. This is a very good one right here, this versus section. So Xbox versus PS4. That's going to be pretty competitive. That's going to be probably at least a 3,500 blog post. just to get some traction in there. Xbox versus Xbox One. These are all good keywords. So one way to think about it is the questions up here at the very top. That's going to be a response post. A lot of these questions are going to be response posts. So if we scroll down, this section are going to be staple posts most likely. Probably some response posts mixed in, but this would probably get you, if you find things in here, most likely they're going to be middle. These down here, or a lot of these are going to be pillar posts. If you look at these questions, if you look at these phrases, um, people like IGN, which is a major gaming blog and community, um, are going to be answering these questions. Xbox and PC, Xbox versus PC. They're not going to waste their time with a question like, um, who buys Xbox 360 games? They're not going to waste their time with that. Um, they may write a blog post about why Xbox is better than PlayStation. They may spend some time with that. Um, but this is a good launching point. Good. This should give you some ideas of how to get started. And then below that, you have what Jim and Ricky call the alphabet soup. There are 518 different ideas, not necessarily different, but 518 ideas to help you, and it's all alphabetical order. So people are typing in um, these phrases. So Xbox bus, they're looking at internal components of the Xbox Blu-ray, um, all of these different things. Xbox cake, someone wants a cake made that looks like an Xbox. But again, this can all help inspire you to come up with something that will help you gain some traction. And this is exactly, not exactly, but this is what I do to um, get started. If I'm looking for a way into a new niche, um, this is how I would do it. Um, Now this is actually the second way that I would approach keyword research, going after a product or brand. If I were if I were getting started, if this was my first blog post about Xbox, I may start with video games because video games is going to be a little bit broad over topic, but there should also be more questions there, more general questions that people may not want to waste their time with. So I just typed in video games. Again, it's a phrase. Um, all right, so there are 200 questions, whereas the Xbox had 172, and so these can be good places to start. Can video games rot your brain? Can video games be sent media mail? These are all different questions if you were starting a video game niche blog or even YouTube video, these are questions that you could possibly get into. Um, how have video games changed? It may be a good one for you, but again, these questions are most likely going to be response posts, and a lot of these questions will spur other questions. So if I just highlight uh, when video games ruin relationships, this may not be a good keyword, but if we scroll down here, people also ask, what happens when you play too much video games? Should probably be too many, but anyway, this section right here, people also ask, is a great place to find additional keywords and phrases. And when you look, this was written in HTML. Are video games bad for me? I'll click on that. Kids' health. Um, do we see? Okay, 2014. And probably, you could probably write something a little bit longer. And you could probably actually take the contrarian approach to this. Um, because the thoughts and theories of video games changes frequently. Every 6 months, there's probably a different belief as to if it's good for you or bad for you. Anyway, I have digressed, but if we go back to um, answer the public, you can see these are all questions that bigger brands or bigger domains may not waste their time with. Um, I'm trying to see if I can find a good one quick. Why video games cause violence is an interesting one that you could potentially write on. This is actually probably going to be a little competitive because there's two schools of thought out there, obviously, um, and there are scholarly articles. So I would probably not even write on that one unless I was a physician of some sort. Anyway, if we scroll down again, there are 137 of the Can for Is, which can help you spur some thought. Video games for Mac. Again, this could probably be a staple area. For example, you could do like 10 best video games for couples, or why couples should not play video games together. And you could probably get to 2,500 words for that. Um, 10 ways video games can cause violence. So this section is actually pretty good for getting 2,500 words. Um, 20 ways video games isn't art, you could say. Four best video games for 3-year-olds is a good place to start. And then if you scroll down even more, as I mentioned, the comparisons are usually good for your pillar posts. So if you did, you do 10 of the best video games like GTA, which stands for Grand Theft Auto. Um, I'm sure there's a question in here or a statement. Computer games versus console games, or different types of video games and obesity, video games and kids. These are all going to be super competitive, and would require at least 3,500 words. So video games versus books, video games versus board games, video games versus computer games. These are all pretty good questions. And then below that, you have the alphabetical soup. So this is a good first place to start. Um, like I mentioned, I start it and then I come back to it in the middle, and then we go from there. The second place that I use, and I actually kind of alluded to it earlier, um, where is it? Another place that I use, and we'll type in Ahrefs. There we go. This is the only paid site that I use, Ahrefs, and I actually only pay the 7-day trial, $7 for 7 days. Basically, with Ahrefs, there are a number of different tools. These tools aren't always trustworthy, and actually, I should say that about everything. And to the public, Ahrefs, some of the other extensions and plugins that are out there, they're not always accurate, but they should be, just as I mentioned, tools. They shouldn't be relied upon. Uh, they're not your magic or golden ticket. Anyway, with Ahrefs, there are some of the things I don't currently subscribe to it, but they have a keyword research tool. It claims to help you find organic keywords. Basically, what I do is I sign up for the 7-day trial, and then I try and find. I'll actually download a ton of different um, keywords and key phrases, and then go over them at a later date. Now, one thing that you can do, because you'll have your own website, is you're able to create email addresses. You can actually create your own email addresses in the cPanel. And basically, in order to get started with Ahrefs, you need to just click this giant orange button. You want to go with the standard and then enter in your email address. That's all you really need to get started. And then after that, you enter in your credit card. And then you need to make sure that as soon as you sign up, maybe on day 3, 4, 5, you schedule it to cancel. And so that's basically what I do um, for the Ahrefs version. So I only wind up paying $7 for any time that I have to use it, and not the amount of $99 a month. I probably only use Ahrefs once every 2 or 3 months. The other thing that I use, let's see, one thing that you can do is just go right into Google and we can type Xbox. And then this most likely, obviously, will come back to the brand. The first few websites will be dedicated to the brand, any YouTube videos, and so on. Usually this is all really too competitive for a new blogger or semi-established blogger to get started with. But what you're looking for is the people also ask for, because this can give you a little bit of insight as to what um, the market is thinking, the direction that the market is going, and you maybe even able to find some diamonds in the rough. For example, how many types of Xbox are there? Let's see, ebay.co.uk. You might be able to find some traction in a question like this. For example, if I were going to write, what are all the different types of Xboxes? Um, Start with the history. You would talk about when each one began, how it impacted the market, um, in comparison. You could even talk about where some of the shortfalls of it. So like these 2 paragraphs per Xbox is way too short. What I would probably do is I would talk about maybe the key video game in each um, when each one came out. Like the original Xbox was huge because you could um, it had networking capabilities. It was one of the it was actually probably the biggest catalyst for gaming, because you could play against video gamers everywhere. Now I know you could do that with Dreamcast and some of those other things, but this one was very instrumental. Anyway, so you just keep going. Um, Now, original additional Xbox 360. It doesn't even talk about. It doesn't even mention the newest, the Xbox One, the Xbox One X. No, it's the Xbox One, the Xbox One X, and the Xbox One S. It doesn't talk about those three. So again, you could probably make some inroads here. This is 2 years old. I'm sorry, we're in 19. This is 3 years old. It's missing a lot of information. So that might be a good 1,500 word post that you could gain some competition. In addition, which Xbox is best? I'm not sure people are writing on that anymore. But when you click this drop down, it does give you more options. And you probably could actually write on which Xbox is best, because you could do a comparison about how um, it changed video gaming, or its impact on the video gaming and even um, entertainment in general. But I digress. So you could do, or what I like to do is I like to do the people also ask. And what I'll actually do, and I may do a separate YouTube video on this, is I actually will, uh, when I'm writing my blog post, if I've run out of things to say, let's say I've gotten to um, 2,000 words or 2,200 words, and I have nothing else to say on the topic, I'll come in here in the people also ask, and I'll put that below the conclusion. And that helps me get to it helps me get to the 2,500. And what winds up happening is you wind up going from trying to write to 2,500 to having your blog post be 3,000 words, just because you come down here and you answer the question people also ask, and you wind up just getting re-engaged with the blog. Now you do want to limit the people also ask to maybe 3. I don't think I do more than 4 of these, because you get to a point where the blog post is no longer about the original blog post. It becomes a collection of FAQs. So that's just a little heads up there. Um, in my Chrome browser, there's also an extension called Keywords Everywhere that I use. Usually, if you type in a number, beneath that number, you type in a keyword or phrase, and then beneath that phrase, there are numbers here, and that number, what they say is that number corresponds with the number of searches per month. That number usually is wrong, um, and it's not the actual number. It's more of like um, it's like a bracket. So sometimes you'll search a, a query and it'll come back to 0. Now, obviously, it's not 0 because you at least searched it. Usually, it's a range, so it's somewhere between 0 and 3,000 people have searched it per month. Um, that question that you entered in. So you got to take all of it with a grain of salt. If it seems like a logical question, maybe it's acceptable to write on. Also, another cool thing about the keywords everywhere, on the right hand side, usually they'll have additional questions like people also ask in this section here, not where the reviews are. Again, this isn't keywords everywhere works in the Chrome browser, and so that can be a good catalyst for finding terms or finding different things to write about. I believe that is it. Let me just make sure that there is nothing else or anything else that I failed to mention that I want to make sure that I covered. The plan for the next few days is I do want to do a blog post on income school tools. So the tools that I use when I'm creating my YouTube videos and I'm doing my blog posts. I thought that would be pretty cool. Um, and I have a list on here on how I have a note on here creating a video about how to add more words to your blog post, but I basically just talked about that. So make sure that you click the link in the description. It will take you to um, Income School. It is an affiliate link. If you do choose to sign up, I do receive a small commission. Also, make sure that you like and subscribe if you feel these videos are helpful, if you like the content. Also, I welcome feedback. Make sure that you um, leave a comment if you like the video, if you didn't like the video, if you want to see me talk about something completely different. Make sure you leave that in the comments below because I would be happy to help with you. So once again, this is Alston, and thanks for watching.